Hello, everyone, and welcome to another ICB webinar. It's great that you could be here today. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm part of the ICB team. I'm really pleased to introduce Heather Nunn, who's one of our bookkeepers. Hello, good afternoon, Heather.
Hello, hi.
And we've also got Sean Smith here from AutoEntry. Hello, Sean.
Hello, good to be here. Thanks for having us.
So it's great that you could join us today. Just to let you know, my housekeeping, that this webinar has been recorded and we'll share it with you afterwards. And what we're talking about today is the auto entry review. So we'll make sure that you've got a copy of that. This is an interactive session. We want to hear from you. I'd really like to hear where you are in the world. I'd like to hear whether you've used auto entry before, whether you've ever heard of auto entry, whether you're interested in using auto entry, and also I'd like to know what you had for lunch. So if you can just make sure that you can let me know. It's great. Um, my other part of my job is I must remind you that you need to book your ICB Bookkeeper Summit tickets that are now open, and the early bird rate is on. So we're going to be gathering in November in London on 17th of November. I'm sure Sean will be there then, and Heather has just said that she's coming too. So get on the website, book those. And then finally, we've had a busy week this week at ICB. You've probably fed up of seeing my face. On Friday, Amy Copeland, the CEO, is talking to Craig Ogilvie from HMRC. And we've got a panel of people from HMRC that are going to talk to you about dual agent access for MTD software. So if that's something that's of interest to you, if you want to know how it works, why, how you get set up, all the different elements of that. It'll be a really useful session for you. So great. I'm just going to see when people are coming from. Suzanne had the egg mayo sandwich, absolute classic, brilliant. Ham, salad, and sourdough, brilliant. Lovely lunch. That's fabulous. Oh dear, Susanna, you do need to have some lunch. So that's great. Thank you for sharing those. Do keep them coming in. If you have any snacks, all those things, I want to hear about them. So what we're going to do today is we're going to hear from Sean a little bit about what auto entry is. And he's going to do his professional bit that he's going to do. And then we're going to hear from Heather, and she's going to give us the good, the bad, and the beautiful around auto entry. And what we want to do is just kind of get a real life view. I mean, Sean does this for a living. He can talk to us, and you can listen to a demo. You can watch a demo of auto entry, but we want to know what it means for bookkeepers, not for accountants, not for end users. What it means for bookkeepers. But Sean, I mean, I didn't set you up very fairly there, but can you just explain what auto entry does and who it's suitable for, and how it helps bookkeepers as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, a tiny bit about me then. I've worked for software companies in the accounting space for a decade actually this year. So it's been 10 years now. Wow, got my 10-year chip. But yeah, so I've worked for a few software companies, all the ones that you know. I've worked for them. I don't need to name them. And basically, my job has essentially been traveling around the country as a consultant, helping businesses to improve their processes, roll out different software, those kind of things, right? Whether it's a new service or just improving a process or a job type that they do. So that's my background, which brought me into Sage. And I look after a host of products, but in particular today we're looking at AutoEntry. So AutoEntry, for those of you that don't know, is a data capture tool. At its core, that's what it was designed to do. So originally it was built around capturing bank statements, which it does very, very well. And then that grew out into receipt capture, invoices, bills, any kind of information. So essentially, how it works, in a nutshell, is any kind of manual records that you get, or digital, to be fair, however they arrive. So whether that's a receipt, whether it's an email, a bank statement, CSV, PDF, however that kind of looks, you can capture it and push it into the system. So you can capture it with your phone if you want. So you can take pictures on your phone. If you've got an email, you can forward it to your private inbox. You can scan documents in, drag and drop, all that kind of stuff, all that you would kind of expect. And once it's in there, it's got a bunch of sort of like machine learning algorithms and AI, of course. It's actually had AI in it for years. Most of these products actually have
Yeah, I
are
Yeah, they do.
technically is AI. We just never really branded it as such. It's just AI is very trendy at the moment, isn't it? So um, we're all calling it out, but it's got all that kind of stuff built into it and has done for years, and that's what it uses to pull out key information, right? So the dates, the values, the tax rates, the supplier names, those kind of things. So it can pull out all the key information from different receipts, and it's been learning the format of those receipts for the last however many years, which is why it's able to do it. And of course, that what that means is then you're not having to manually type that stuff in, right? So you can gather records, they arrive in and are automatically read, and then they can be pushed out into potentially any system that you kind of want it to be. So we have integrations with, Sage, of course, Xero,
Mhm.
QuickBooks, Free Agent, you name it, the kind of big ledger products in the market we integrate with. You can also get exports in like Excel format as well, right? So if you're using that or a completely different tool, like some sort of bespoke tool for a particular industry that we maybe don't integrate with, you can still get the information in that way. So that's kind of what it does. And in describing what it does, I've kind of alluded to the value of it. So the value is, of course, you're not having to get manual records and then physically type them into systems. That's the big one. It's automatically done for you. But I also think the value is probably in just like making it easy for your clients to give information to you.
Mhm.
Certainly, that's one of the big things that I hear all the time, right? Is like you're chasing records, right? It's like, oh, the job's slowed down or we can't do this because we don't have the records. Um, I'm not saying by giving them auto entry that they'll suddenly give you all their records on time, but certainly,
No, but
um,
I suppose it puts it in their heads, doesn't it, to do it.
yeah,
Um,
makes it easier, I think, a little bit if they can just take a picture, right? Rather
yeah,
than
yes.
leave it up and then give it to you. Anyway.
So I'm interested, people who are watching right now, I'm interested if you're using a tool for this at the moment, or whether this is a new function, a new tool that you're looking for within your practice. Because it might be that you're looking to switch from one thing to another, or you're starting off with this. Great. Okay. So I'm going to bring in Heather now, because so Heather, you have been using auto entry. How long did we say for?
Well, we think about 6 years
6 years.
probably at least. Yes, yeah.
And did you go from zero to auto entry, as in zero, as in the number zero? Did you go from not using anything for capture, data capture, to
No, we had been using Receipt Bank prior
okay?
to that, and then at that there was a point where we decided that actual auto entry at that point was better.
Mhm.
Um, Receipt Bank, for anyone who doesn't know, is now Dext. But we've been using auto entry, as I say, since we moved. So we were using something prior to auto entry.
Okay. And how was it? How easy was it to start using it? That's a big thing. Sometimes you're so established with a particular type of software, just the thought of having to transfer it is a can be a bit
I think that's true. I
daunting.
think it's always difficult making a change,
Yeah.
especially we're in practice, so we have different clients, and making any change can be difficult. But you just have to bite the bullet at some point and go for it. And if you can justify to your clients, that helps. One of the things that help for us is the way that auto entry charges, so that it's you buy a certain number of credits, and essentially the client only pays for what's uploaded. So
Mhm.
that's how we deal with their charging, which means that if they don't upload something one month, then there's no charge that month. So that's quite helpful. Whereas other systems, you're paying an amount. So it depends upon your clients and how much they need to upload, really.
Yeah. So how many clients are you using it for with, and how frequent, what sort of frequency do they have?
Well, we think about 10% of our bookkeeping clients, because we also do payroll and HR. So yeah, I wouldn't want to, if we put the percentage over the whole, it wouldn't be accurate, but about 10% probably of
And
the
10%
bookkeeping.
of
Um, we've yeah, you caught me out in terms of not knowing the numbers. I mean, we've got about
sorry.
50 clients altogether. Some of them are bookkeeping and payroll, some are payroll only, some are bookkeeping only. Um, So there's it's probably only about 5 or 6 at the moment who are actually using it, but 2 of them are very big clients. So, and it varies according to, obviously, to the client base as well. But we have 2 with larger uploads, and we have 1 or 2 who don't upload that many. But for both, whether you've got lots of invoices to upload or not very many, it's still beneficial.
Okay. Yeah, because there must be some clients who say, why do I need to do this? I only
Yeah.
do a couple of. Do you have that?
The way we sell it really is that actually we can do it for you manually, but it's going to cost you a lot more, because this is what it will cost you to upload one. But actually, if we're going to do it from scratch into the bookkeeping software, and it's going to cost you this, because it's going to take us this amount of time, and this is how we're charging. So it's very easy to explain how much cheaper it will be if we use AutoEntry, and how much time saving for us, which means less time, working on the accounts. So and it also gives us, I would say, a little bit more time to check that everything's all right before we push it through as well to the bookkeeping software. So you don't feel under quite, if you've got a lot of invoices that are being uploaded, you don't feel quite under the pressure when you're processing. It is really just a quick check to make sure everything's all right, and you can push it through, knowing at that point that what's going through to the bookkeeping software is going to be accurate. And of course, you've got the copy in the bookkeeping software of the actual document as well.
To refer back to. And I know that ICB bookkeepers are meticulous and have got great attention to detail, but it just removes any chance of error, doesn't it, if they're doing it?
Yes. Yeah, it's almost as a double check, really, because essentially AutoEntry is doing the job. You're just doing all the checks and balances before you then push it through.
Yeah. Okay. And so your clients have been receptive to it, is what you're saying? They've been
yes, absolutely. Yeah. They can see the value of it.
Yeah. Great. Okay. And what about your team? Because you've got a team that are working on it. What's their view?
Yes. All 3 of us, three people doing bookkeeping here, participated in putting the report together. So all of us use it. So you've got the views of 3 people in the report. Yeah,
that's good. But they're happy using it in terms of kind of usability and accessibility.
Yeah, I mean, I'm speaking for all of us when I say those things. We all experience the fact that we realise how beneficial it is to have it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They have to be the voice of them, because it's your name over the door, isn't it, Heather?
Well, exactly.
That's what you do. Good. Okay. So we've talked a little bit then about what it does and how it saves time, really. Can we talk a little bit about the features in terms of what you like about it, or what your team like about it, Heather? And then we're going to move on to what they don't like about it, and the features which they think could be improved, and then Sean can write all those down and take them back to
okay. Right. Well, basically it's easy to use, which is a good thing. Yeah, it's always helpful to have software that's easy to use.
Yeah.
And the time saving is obviously really important. The fact that different invoices from different suppliers can be uploaded in one document, the software automatically will split it out. So that's really useful. So literally a client at their premises can upload everything into one PDF. So you might get 15, 20 invoices, and then that comes into AutoEntry. AutoEntry automatically should recognise that and split it out. Which is helpful. If it's a credit note, that's detected as well, and then split out as a credit note and not an invoice, so it'll detect that. It remembers supplier nominal.
In my head, I was going, that's really good.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Providing obviously the piece of paper is clear that it's capturing the information from.
Doesn't have a
I mean, for
footprint on it or
instance,
something like that.
well, yeah, and
what?
we
A
have had,
footprint.
yeah. I've got a feeling that it might have come unstuck when somebody issued a minus invoice because it said invoice. So there are always things you have to double check when they come through. It's not good enough to say, well, everything, you can't say AutoEntry's got everything right just because it's been put in there. You still have to do the manual check before you push it through to the software. You don't just push it through. It remembers supplier nominal codes, so that's helpful. There's a good degree of accuracy on the information captured, and that's quite good because obviously all invoices are different. They don't all come looking the same, so they're not. It's not capturing the same sort of template all the time. All the templates are different, so it's pretty good at that. Cost savings with higher usage as well. So for clients who are using it more, it's slightly less cost per document, as it were, per credit, as AutoEntry call them. And you can also add, sorry.
That's right. I was going to ask, you've got quite a functional question really in terms of if you've got concerns about something that's uploaded or it's not clear or something, can you amend the information?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, occasionally, if somebody takes a photograph which isn't clear, AutoEntry can't read it, but it will tell you it can't read it, and so therefore you either ask for it again, or you can, when you look at it in AutoEntry, you can actually, can zoom in, and sometimes you can actually read it manually and then put the information in. So yes, you can override any of the information. So if it's wrong, you can correct it. For instance, occasionally, if you've got two suppliers with similar names, for instance, sometimes it will choose automatically the wrong one because you might have two suppliers with similar names. That has happened before, but again, this is all part of what you should be manually checking anyway. And most businesses don't have lots of suppliers with the same names, but it can happen.
Yeah.
And also the suppliers can be added direct from AutoEntry as well. So if you've got an invoice that hasn't been, you haven't had an invoice from that supplier before, then it will prompt you, do you want to add it as a new supplier? And you do that from AutoEntry, so you don't have to go back to the accounting software to do it. It will just do it from AutoEntry, and then magically your supplier is there in the accounting software.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no contract. That's another benefit.
Oh, I was going to ask about packages, and I don't know whether I need to bring Sean in for that. But tell it. You don't have to reveal your pricing or anything, Heather. But how does that work? Because I think that's such a big part of buying a software, isn't it? In terms of understanding how it works for your practice, and especially with some of the. And Sean, I told you I was going to be honest. Especially with some of the larger software providers, they package things up for big firms of accountants, and obviously your average bookkeeper practice is a lot smaller. So how does that work? Does that suit you, Heather?
Well, we literally do pass the cost that it actually is for that particular client. So basically we get a certain number of credits for how we're using it. So whatever level we're on, and sometimes we have to change the levels, then our charge is passed on to the client in the same way. We don't add on or anything. We're literally charging what it costs.
Okay, so you're not marking it up.
We're not marking it up. But I mean, there's no reason, I guess, why you couldn't, but we don't.
And do you do you pass on costs for software for other softwares to clients?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is all part of that.
It's the way we work. I mean, not everyone works that way. I understand that, but it is the way we work.
Okay, and is that because you have like a monthly pricing system within your practice rather than
Yes, absolutely,
yeah, it makes a difference. And there's no contract, so you can change.
Yes, I'm just saying you're not tied in, so at any time if we wanted to change, then we could. So it's just I think that's an advantage of not being tied into anything, only paying for what we use. And all features are standard, so whatever level of credits you're on, everything's standard. It's the same. So there's no different levels of where you get this or for that or whatever. So you've got all the different things are standard.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's an
app. Really intentional. That's really intentional from us, is to allow everyone to have all the same features, and you just pay for like volume of activity rather than like gatekeeping certain features and things like that. That was an intentional decision from our commercial team to price it that way. So it's good that has got positive feedback.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just because you're small doesn't mean you're not mighty, is what we always say to the bookkeepers.
There's an app as well, so you can upload from smartphones. So that's very handy for clients, especially if they're on the move, or if they haven't got a printer, because of course a lot of people just don't have that sort of facility to scan things anymore. So
I don't have a printer or a scanner.
No.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so makes sense.
So that's very handy. It's a good way for us to get information from clients as well, because sometimes trying to get invoices from clients, we've actually found that this is a good way to get them to upload them. So that's worked very well.
Because it's easy, because they could just use their phone and
and we encourage them. You just do it as you get them. Do it as you get them. Just get everything in, and that also helps us to work up to date as well. So for some of our clients, we're on their books every day. Bookkeeping used to be monthly, didn't it? Or some 3 monthly sometimes for VAT or whatever. But I mean, bookkeeping in this practice here is for many of our clients is every day, so that we've got up-to-date information for them as well. And it works really well. It has changed over the years. It really has changed.
But because you can have that real-time upload.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We do work in real time as a rule. Yeah.
And again, a small detail question, but how do you know when something's been uploaded? Do you have to log into it? Does it send you an email?
I think you can get notifications, but I don't use that because we literally just go on. Because
it's just part of your day.
It's part of the day, and because we are actually in the office anyway, or wherever we are, it's part of the function. It would be if you're working for that client and they use AutoEntry, you go on to see if there's anything there. Just automatic part of what we do, and it doesn't take. It's very easy to log into AutoEntry as well, which is helpful. So you're very quickly looking, and if there's nothing there, then you just out again. It just takes seconds actually to do that.
That's great.
So that's not a problem from our point of view.
I swear sometimes I just spend that, at the first hour of my day just looking into everything.
Yes, because I think honestly, the more we all get too many emails, and if you keep getting notifications, I find that personally very annoying. That's just a personal thing. I don't want them.
So there's two other things I want to talk about. First of all is around that integration with, and I'm sorry, what accounting software are you using, Heather?
Mainly QuickBooks now, but we've got Free Agent. Xero, we did have some, but obviously Xero had HubDoc, which we did use as well. But most of our clients now are QuickBooks. It has just gone that way without us really trying, but we've tended. It just happens that most of our clients are now on QuickBooks.
Okay.
I have interest. Is that driven by clients, or
generally?
You've named a few software packages. Is that because you take the approach of the client will come to you with a preference and you're happy to work with anything, or do you?
We will, yes, we will work with what they come to us with if that's what they want. We don't normally change people. If they're happy with what they're using, then we will use that. So we do use a variety of different softwares, as I say, but it seems to be going more towards QuickBooks than ever before.
Okay.
But I know a lot of other people are going Xero, so it's choice, isn't it? It's partly really just what's happening in our practice, rather than, but we're not driving it. It's being driven by the clients that are coming to us.
I find it so interesting, Sean, and this is where we can kind of industry geek out a bit, can't we? In terms of who leads that. You know, is it the client? I know some bookkeepers who
Yeah.
say, I'm only doing zero, not doing anything else, and other
Yeah.
people who will go to lots of other people. So I think it's just a part of the freedom of running your own business, isn't it, Heather? That you can
Exactly,
choose which
right.
way you're going
Yeah.
to go down.
Everyone approaches things differently, don't they? Like we were talking about passing on the cost of software earlier, and people take different approaches there, right? They understand the benefit and the time saving, so they, don't pass on the charge, or they do pass on the charge or a percentage of it, and you get everything in between those kind of different shades of grey there with how they approach the pricing. I imagine it's the same with software as well. Like,
Yeah.
I know that there are some firms, like you say, they're like, we're zero till we die and you're using zero, and that's it kind of idea. Typically, it kind of centers around zero, actually. They've got a very sort of strong community there. But yeah, you also get others that say, actually, we don't mind what software you use. We'll support you as a business owner in any way you need. And if that software is right for you, then by all means use it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. But the integration, how does that work for you in terms of, does it end up where you need it to be, is what I was going to say, Heather? The information.
Yes, it does. The other thing I was going to say was VAT, because that's quite important. It's quite good at breaking down the VAT rates, and for you to add the lines. I mean, it obviously you need to enter which lines it's going to, but it's quite good at that. And if it doesn't add up, you can easily change it. So I wanted to make that point because that's quite helpful. Once you know what you're doing with AutoEntry, that's quite a good thing. Yeah. So.
Okay. And the other thing I was going to say was about I always think with data capture, it's a lot about trust, isn't it? In that, do you trust the information that you're getting from AutoEntry, and your clients have to trust it as well, don't you?
Like
Am I
I said,
over-emoting this?
I think you are, because you do
Okay.
need to manually check.
Okay, so you're always going to do a manual check as well?
Always. We'd never send anything through to the bookkeeping software without being happy. But it's just, sometimes it's just a case of looking at it for seconds, a couple of seconds, and then whizzing it through. It's not a big time thing, but I certainly wouldn't push it straight through, because it can be wrong.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about some of the and I'm sorry, Sean, did you want to come in and any of that? I know we've been talking a bit about it, but the way
No, it's
is
just
the
it's
way
always
that
interesting to kind
Heather's
of,
using it familiar to you? And
yeah, very familiar. So like, um, a lot of what you've called out as being like the strengths and the benefits we're aware of, which is a good thing. It's good that what we see as a strength is what our customers are seeing as a strength, because you do want that to align,
yeah.
more
Yeah.
often than not. Um, yeah, I'd agree with everything that you've said so far. Yeah, no.
And is the bookkeeper Susanna Whelan on your payroll? Because she keeps on putting comments in around sorry, on the AutoEntry payroll, Heather,
Oh,
because Susanna keeps on commenting about good things about AutoEntry.
oh well, you maybe can be now.
You're very lucky there
Yeah.
to have advocates in the marketplace. Heather, you don't have to look directly at Sean when you say this. There are some in the review you did that you pulled out some areas to improve. So let's be honest about this. And perhaps even Sean, you can cry if you want to, but there might be things that are happening and changing and answering some of these. Let's just, you want to just go through some of those areas to improve, and perhaps Susanna can,
Yeah.
for you.
I think generally, we haven't noticed much change to AutoEntry in recent years.
Okay.
Now, normally software providers are doing a lot, and you see things keep changing. Certainly we see that with Sage. We did notice since AutoEntry was purchased by Sage that we haven't seen any ongoing, we don't appear to have seen, I mean, I might be wrong, don't appear to have seen any development, and I'd like to see some development on especially the areas that we can see need updating, if you like. But I'm sure you might want to answer that before we go any further.
Not answer it so much as I agree with you. So that is certainly an internal frustration that we have as well with the product. So we're acutely aware of the fact that there's not been as much development and innovation in that product as we would have liked. Unfortunately, I think that's kind of part and parcel of the issue that businesses have when they acquire a new business. So the reasoning behind that is that we do have a product roadmap and we do want to sort of drive that innovation and those kind of improvements. But essentially, as we wanted to bring AutoEntry into the Sage for Accountants family, it did mean migrating it from its existing architecture onto Sage Experience Platform, SXP, we call it internally, which then allows it to plug into all the other tools and all the other benefits of the Sage network, and also bringing it into our architecture means that it's as secure as the rest of the Sage network. So that process takes time, sadly, and while the engineers are focusing on that, we sadly don't have the same resource we would like to innovate, but that is mostly done now. And so the lens is now moving from, oh, bring them into the Sage family to let's focus on how we can amplify this software and improve it.
And
I
that's
would
good.
agree. Yeah.
That's good. I mean, it's only niggly little things that you think, well, it should be able to do this.
Yeah, they're the worst ones, right?
you know, and there are things, for instance, you've got different email addresses that upload to for the purchase invoices or for statements or whatever. If a client uploads to the wrong one, you can't push it to the correct folder. Now that is annoying. So that means you've either got to download it and then upload it again, or deal with it differently. So something like that you feel ought to be possible, because it's quite annoying. The splitting of the items isn't always correct, but that may be down to when it's a complicated invoice. I don't want to comment too much about that, because you can easily correct it, but again, it's another reason why you need to check. Doesn't always capture the correct VAT rate. Again, it might be because of what's on the invoice or what it picks up from the invoice. I mean, we've got to remember that it's scanning the invoices, isn't it, and picking up numbers, and there's lots of numbers on invoices, so I kind of can see why that may be a problem. When you're reviewing the invoices, you expect that they'll go in order. You think you've got to the end, and then you think, oh yes, we'll come out and we've done those. Suddenly you click out and you see there's another 10 there. It doesn't go through in any order. It's just a niggle. It's not a problem really, it's a niggle.
Yeah, I remember reading that one and thinking that would aggravate me. On the plus side, those kind of things like that are typically UI, like user interface issues, so they're not architecture issues, so they're much easier to fix. But any kind of feedback that's like that, where it's like, oh, layout of screen or what order the information is being shown to you, things like that, we can edit that with a front end engineer rather than a back end engineer. And that's always much quicker to fix. So those ones are like gold dust, but that kind of feedback, because it helps a niggle for you, and it's something that we can do quite quickly as well.
Oh, that's good. So we'll have action from that. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, there are still other positives that I haven't, we haven't covered everything. There are still other positive things, and there's we haven't covered everything. so far.
No, it's a very detailed.
Just for everyone to be aware that there are other features and things we haven't mentioned.
Do you want to bring those in now? Because otherwise I was going to head to the comments.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I thought that's where you wanted to go. So, but yeah.
Well, I think go for the features because Susanna Williams asked me all the questions, so it's fine.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. So it will reject things that are wrong, or it will flag up if something's a duplicate. So there's a rejected folder where you then go to the rejected folder to look at the rejected folder, and then you can actually bring it back in. So if it's something that it shouldn't have been rejected, you can actually push it through to the inbox and process it. But it will flag up if something's in the software already, because the last thing you need is two invoices, going through because the client's uploaded it twice. So it will detect that, and then it will say, well, this is a duplicate, and then it will show you both together, and you can check that yes, it is a duplicate, and say yes, that's right to reject it. So features like that are really, really helpful, because it prevents things being done twice. And also, we haven't talked about, and we may not have done it because we don't really use it, but you can upload bank statements and things. You can also upload statements and see what's missing. Not bank statements, I'm talking about invoice statements now. So supplier statements, you can easily show you what's missing and what you haven't got. So that's a good feature as well. Yeah. That's probably it really that I can think of off the top of my head now.
Right, they're very popular. Okay, so I'm just going to pull out some of these comments. Mostly they're really positive things saying about AutoEntry. Sean, so that's nice to hear, isn't it? It's
always nice. Yeah.
People have used it for a while. Other people say that they charge on as well. And Nikki asked about the difference between AutoEntry and Dex, and I don't think we really like doing that, Nikki, in terms of we know that these things are very different. They have different benefits.
Colours for a start.
Different
Your
colours.
favorite colour is orange.
Yeah.
Then Dex is the one, right? Because there's not much orange in our product.
No, that's right. So I'm going to ask you to go and have a look at Dext as well. And Susanna's saying you can set up notifications to your email, so that's good. Alison asks, if AutoEntry has automatically uploaded invoices into your software, how do you know which transactions to check? Do you have a method of marking them and approving them?
No, AutoEntry, right. So you're looking at the invoices that are uploaded in AutoEntry, and then when you're happy with it, you push it through to the software.
Okay.
Does that clarify? I don't know if that clarifies the question. It doesn't. It doesn't
go
send
in
them through.
automatically.
Yes, no. Well, you can set it to do that, I think, but we would never do that or advise anyone to do that
because of the checking thing.
Because
ICB Bookkeepers.
I'm not sure who asked that. Is that a good answer to the question, or have I missed the question?
I suppose within got a thumbs up. But I suppose within AutoEntry, do you have a method for marking them and approving them? But I suppose it's just
no. Well, what happens is you click publish and it publishes it to the software, and then it disappears from your inbox box into the archive folder. I'm not sure which folder. I think there might be different ways of setting it. Yeah. So once you've published it, it's set as published and it disappears from your inbox. So you're just dealing with the inbox items. But also then you need to look at the reject folder, because it will automatically reject things. Then you need to go in and have a look at what's in that folder. But it happily flags if there are things you haven't seen in the reject folder. So you can, it tells you that there are things to look at there.
Great. Okay.
It does save the original invoice as an attachment, Jane. Yes, absolutely. So the actual original invoice goes through into the software.
That's good. Okay. So Jane put another question in, and I'm not quite sure what you mean by Jane, so perhaps you can explain it more. Can we use AutoEntry saving time on our accounts, not passing it onto the client to do? Not quite sure.
Can you?
Where's that? Is that
Jane, it's in the question. It's in the Q&A box.
Oh, Q&A. Can we use AutoEntry?
Should ask that in a different way so we understand. Sorry.
Can we use AutoEntry?
Is it?
Oh yes. So if you mean can you do it rather than the client doing it, the answer is yes.
Okay, got
Oh,
it.
one account user.
Is that what you're? I'm assuming that's what she means. The client doesn't have to upload it, but that's the way we work. The clients upload the information because they have the invoices, they receive the invoices. But anyone could send anyone can send invoices to that email address. So if you're in practice, if your client's sending it all to you, you can send it to AutoEntry instead. If that's, I'm not sure if that's the question or not.
Yeah, yes, I see what you mean. So yeah, it doesn't have to be a client uploading it. You can do it yourself. You can get your team to do it. If
Yes.
you've got a batch of invoices on your desk.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah.
I've just put a poll up. If people would like to know more, would like to hear have a proper demo of this. If that's of interest to you. I mean, it's a standard. You've got a lot of existing users, Sean, come to see you and ask you questions. Okay, great. So, is there anything else we need to cover? Are we happy with everything? Sean, do you want to share anything else you're doing?
Trying to think. So we do have obviously there's a big conversation piece at the moment is MTD. Yeah,
Mhm.
we should hit a gong every time someone says MTD.
Yeah.
We do have a solution in that space as well, which is a bolt onto AutoEntry. So it sounds like we've got quite a few users on today, and they are fans. There's a new bolt-on called Accounts Prep, or arguably an old bolt-on that's come out of retirement
Oh.
called Accounts Prep that it works from the bank statements. So typically, or maybe not typically, I'm generalizing massively here, so apologies. But if you have that sort of bag and box manual record client that's going to be affected by MTD, they may not want to change their behavior or their relationship with you. They may not want to go onto software, but legally we have to put them on software. And that's where accounts prep kind of sits really nicely. So you're able to capture bank statements and then reconcile those really quickly in bulk, and then you get a trial balance at the end, and it's very kind of speedy. So it helps to kind of process those records quickly, which of course is important if we're going to have to turn it around quarterly. So it might be something that you look into if you're going to have clients in that space and you're worried about having to put them on software and them not wanting to go and things like that, and worrying about the manual work that will create for you. That's a possible solution that I would suggest maybe looking into.
That's really
That's
interesting.
something new, yeah.
Yeah, Heather, is that it? Are you going to have any clients falling into MTD, or you? I don't know.
We don't do end of year, so we don't do tax and that side of things. So we will be working with the accountants on that. I'm not quite sure. It'll be to do with the accountants and who does the that bit. So we're still in conversation really to find out how we're going to work on that. But the good fact that you can have two agents is going to solve the problem from our point of view. Yeah.
Very good prompt for me to talk about the HMLC webinar tomorrow, Heather, that when we're talking about dual agent access. Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
That's Craig Ogilvie, did you say, right? A fellow Scot.
Yes, yes. Craig Ogilvie just does almost as many miles as Chris Downing, I think, in terms of getting around the country. He's great. Is it 12 o'clock? Or is it 2 o'clock? It's 12 o'clock tomorrow. Great. Okay. I think that's everything we've got. Oh, hang on, just one more question. How does accounts prep work with the receipt capture function of AutoEntry? Can you upload the receipts, invoices to accounts prep as well, or is it just the bank statements?
So it's an attachment to AutoEntry. So your bank statements and your receipts and things would go through AutoEntry as it does now. No sort of behavioral or process change there. Accounts prep would sit, if you were looking at the workflow, it would be like receipts, AutoEntry, and then, Sage or Xero or QuickBooks, whatever it is. And then you reimagine that it's receipts, AutoEntry, and then it pushes into accounts prep, and that just allows you to reconcile those. So yeah, once you upload the bank statement, it can help you to match, invoices to bank transactions, bills to bank transactions, and you can also kind of code things up to the HMRC approved tax categories. So yeah, really well designed for, well, it's designed for MTD in mind, really, but yeah, that's kind of how it works.
Good. Okay, that's great. I think we've covered everything. Thank you, everybody. Oh, hang on, Julia's going back. Sorry, we've got time, haven't we?
Yeah, we
Julia's
got.
just saying, so you're better off paying for AutoEntry yourself and then charging on to clients. At the moment, my clients pay for it themselves.
It's a good question. I'm not going to tell you which is better. I'll just tell you what the two scenarios look like. So if your client's purchasing it themselves, they're probably paying RRP from the website, and then they're giving you access to use it. If you were to have a relationship with AutoEntry or Sage yourself, you would probably get our accountants or our bookkeepers rates or our partnership rates, we call them, which are probably slightly better. And then you would have the choice of on charging that at RRP or at the rate you're getting, or however you want to skin that kind of cap. So I'm not saying which one's better, but those are your options.
No, good. Okay, great.
Yes, and the number of credits you buy a month are according to what you need to use. So that can go up and down. I'm just looking at one PR is comment there.
And you can change that, right? So we're aware of seasonal businesses, for example, is a big thing, right? Where they'll have like really busy summer months, let's say, and they're firing through tons of credits, and then maybe they're really quiet over the winter, and there's not so many. So you can those credits roll over, and you can also reduce your membership and things like that. So there is flexibility.
Yeah, that's one of the questions.
Yeah.
Do you know off the top of your head, Sean, what the cost is for 500 credits?
Oh, I think
it's £99 a month, I think, which is 20p per credit.
Absolutely correct. Yeah.
Top bookkeeper. And no wonder Suzanne knows it so well. She's doing 3,000 credits per month.
Wowzers, there you go. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a heavy usage.
She must be one of your best customers. Well, she is now, isn't she, after all this work she's done for you. Great. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time. Thank you, Heather, for doing the review. Thank you, Sean, for coming on, sharing your knowledge as well. Thank you for everybody in the chat contributing. This is why we love to do these things at ICB. I will send you all an email with the recording and a link to the review as well, so you can read Heather's words for yourself. But everybody have a great day, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Cheers, bye, everybody.
Bye.